Look, it's great to be here in Vancouver. I've heard so many great things about this city over the years, and I had never been here. And so my wife and I and my two sons decided to plan a trip this summer and spend a few days in Vancouver and take a cruise of Alaska. And then all of a sudden I got a call from Ross and Alan and invited me to be here. So I'm going to come back. And when I came in this yesterday afternoon, the entrance to the city was so glorious that I could see why everybody who comes here raves about it. So I'm delighted. Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you for the lovely introduction. Well, the destinies of our two great nations have really been intertwined since the beginning of time, particularly according to the Bible. I'm sure you all know that on the sixth day of creation, that God said to the archangel Gabriel, "Today I'm going to create a land called Canada. It will be a land of outstanding natural beauty. It will have majestic mountains and beautiful sparkling lakes. It's going to have high cliffs overlooking sandy beaches and rivers stocked with salmon. And God said, I shall make this land rich in oil so that the people of Canada always prosper. I shall call the inhabitants of this land Canadians and make them the friendliest people on earth." "But Lord," asked Gabriel, "don't you think you're being excessively generous with these Canadians?" "Not really," God said. "Just wait and see the neighbors I'm going to give them." So, such as we are. I think President John F. Kennedy put it really well when in 1961 he defined the relationship between our nations in an address to the Parliament of Canada, and he said, "Geography has made us neighbors, history has made us friends, economics has made us partners, and necessity has made us allies." Well, in my humble opinion, I definitely believe that what unites us is far greater than what divides us. And that is particularly true in our PR world. I kind of regard us as PR family. Now, as public relations professionals, one of the really many things among those that further unite us is the fact that whether you're north or you're south of the border, we are standing at the threshold of one of the greatest new opportunities that we've ever had. And in this presentation today, I'm going to tell you 7 reasons why. Now, human history has been punctuated by many political, cultural, technological revolutions. But today, I'm going to describe 3 of them. And I believe, actually, that if we aggressively seize the moment, that this current game-changing information revolution that we're involved in now, we can truly make a leap into greatness. So, the first information revolution, it happened about 5,000 years ago. It was with the invention of writing. And how far the unaided human voice can go, I don't know, maybe a kilometer or 2? But written language makes it possible to communicate across countries, across continents, and across centuries. The Roman Empire would have never occurred without communications. The second revolution was triggered by the invention of the printing press in about 1440. Whereas a scribe could painstakingly write a few pages in a day, with the advent of the printing press, suddenly they were able to produce 3,600 pages in a day. And in the first 60 years of the printing press, more than 20 million pieces of literature came out throughout Western Europe, launching an era of mass communications unlike anything the world had seen before, increasing literacy, and forever altering politics, religion, science, and society. Well, now we're fortunate to be living during the third revolution. And this is an information revolution that's being fostered by the internet. And it has come, in my opinion, in two discrete waves. One is the dot-com era, and the second is the age of social media. Now, in the first one, the first wave, the PR industry was swamped. But we're up on our surfboards right now. And we're kind of maintaining the momentum for the moment. Let me explain. Between 1995 and 2001, the PR industry was flooded with clients from the dot-com sector. I'm sure everybody remembers that, particularly the PR firms, and even the corporations were greatly affected by it. There was a real economic rush. And typically, we provided the same kinds of services that we had provided to the brick and mortar companies, predominantly media relations, which is what most of these companies wanted, stories in the major national, international magazines, in the US, Business Week, Fortune, the Wall Street Journal, and we delivered. And the only thing that bothered me is that I felt that there was more we could have done. We could have gotten into doing websites, which were in the early days of websites, but there was no question there was a demand for them. We could have designed them. We could have written the copy for them. But we were not particularly visionary, and we ceded that business to digital boutiques, design, and also advertising firms. In 2000, 2001, more than 40% of this industry's business, particularly on the consulting side, came from the tech sector. And due to the market force, when the bubble burst, our dot-com clients and dot-com business vanished. And along with it was the elimination of probably 40% of the revenue as well. It was a very, very sad day. But now we're in the midst of the second wave of the internet. And this is that social media revolution. And social media are all about content and conversation. And really, this happens to be our métier. One of the areas where, in my opinion, PR blows every other marketing discipline out of the water. Unlike advertising, which jumps up on the table and tells us boldly what to do, public relations more listens to both parties in the conversation and finds the common ground. The idea, though, that communications should be integrated with feedback really goes back to the days of Edward Bernays, one of the founders of our business, in the 1920s. And this kind of two-way street approach has been enriched currently with words like engagement, relationship building. They're all indispensable skills that make us uniquely qualified to be the moderators of that great global conversation that has been enabled by the internet. Now, that said, it's important to acknowledge that the golden age of public relations is not inevitable. Earlier this month, I was talking to Paul Holmes, who publishes the Holmes Report and does many different kinds of awards programs in different countries. And I've always considered Paul to be a kind of a seer and somebody who's